Just then, I heard the most beautiful thing in the world. 5 simultaneous shots of 7.62 by 51. Go, 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 was all I could think to shout. I popped up and there were 5 bodies falling, all riflemen with no heads left. Eyes and I opened up. They were about 50 meters, and it was a mixture of confusion and disarray. Only seconds ago they were ready to shoot us the second our heads popped up, and now the executioners ceased to exist on this plane of existence. 5 mortal coils loosened, spirits sentenced to judgment, whether they liked it or not, whether they believed it or not. About half of them simultaneously snapped their heads to their left to see what happened. Eyes and I took that opportunity to remind them that for the last time what a colossally stupid mistake that is to do. We took 2 down apiece before the incoming ally boat got off another volley. 5 who didn't take cover, heads dissolved into mist with thunderous report. At this point, the remainder of the fleet was in full panic mode. Their assault was over. Eyes and I opened up into the 2 8-footers, finishing everyone off who was on them. They had no cover, and it was a futile effort. I think I saw 1 or 2 try to jump into the water to get away from the gunfire, only to get pulled under by something. They didn't come back up. I pushed it out of my mind and kept firing into the 100-footer, and Eyes began the same. It was indeed smoking a little bit. I emptied the rest of my mag into the bridge. I'd seen a skipper up there, maybe. I wasn't sure. The firing squad from our ally boat had decided to prioritize the engines of the 100-footer at this point, and each fired into the engines, which caused some horrible noises. It didn't slow the ship much, though. My mag was out, and I dumped it and put in a new mag. Eyes hadn't been firing into the bridge, into where he thought the systems were. Or he had. I started doing the same thing when I noticed this ammunition was different. I had noticed the tips were different word colors, but I hadn't thought much of it. Strange white-tipped ammo. Oh well, I thought at the time. Well, I don't know what they were doing with this ammo. Apparently it was high explosive tipped. I guess they were going to use it to blow us up. And now I was using it to blow them up, because as I was firing it into the front of the ship, each shot was making tiny explosions. It was hot enough to melt their circuitry and start some small fires. I emptied the entire magazine into the front of their boat, and it began to fill the cabin with smoke. It was finally starting to slow down between our combined efforts. When pirates tried to poke their head out, Eyes would switch targets to them. Our allies would also try to take shots at them also. If there weren't people in the ship, they seemed to be scrambling about. When that mag was empty, I dropped it and picked up another one. I remember this one, I thought to myself. This one had the strange green tips. I slammed the mag in and started putting rounds into the 100-footer, which had slowed but was still coming. Eyes rocked in a new mag and started putting more rounds into the smoldering area. That seemed to make the fire bigger. I was trying to fire up a little higher and to the left and right. I seemed to remember that green tip meant armor penetrating for some reason. The boat almost completely slowed to a halt. If their plan was to ram the ship, that plan was dead now. It had stalled about 25 meters away, and I could see some flames inside the ship. I'm guessing they either didn't have fire extinguishers, or our friends to the right had shot out anyone who tried to put the fires out. Everyone left on the ship jumped out as fast as they could into the water to avoid getting shot. Bad move. There appeared to be some seals in the water waiting for them. I snapped a picture of one and then zoomed in. It looked like a harbor seal, but a little off. None of the pirates survived. There were a few people on jet skis still getting away. 5 shots went off and 5 jet skiers went down. 3 seconds later, there were 5 more shots and the final 3 jet skiers went down. I stood up and started covering the boat as best I could. Eyes, one last favor before the guys get here and help me cover the ship while I cut these boats loose. Will do, I said. The worst thing to do ever was to let your guard down when you think the mission's over. That's when nearly every mistake happens. Incidentally, that's when most people get in vehicle collisions also, was when they get close to their homes. I refuse to call them accidents. They aren't accidents, it's a collision. Anyway, so Eyes is covering me. We both have eyes on what's left of the 100-footer, and I don't see anyone moving on it. It's full of smoke, but I'm not taking any chances. It could have hidden compartments or someone with a gas mask or oxygen, who knows. Not me. It's not worth it when we could just be careful for another minute. It would be just my luck. Someone springs out of nowhere in slow dramatic motion and nails both of us. With my AR up, I go down the stairs and check every angle and don't see any bad guys hiding anywhere. I get my concealed knife out and cut the 8-footers loose so the guys can dock. I then took the boat and shoved them off. If the guys want to crawl the boats back later, they can, or at least collect the engines, but the priority now is to get friendly boarding team to dock so they can be safe instead of exposed. My Zodiac is still okay also. They didn't have any time to mess with it, and it hasn't been damaged by any of the collateral. That's good. I backstep up the stairs and get back under cover. I shuffle around to get I's attention and wave him to the floor to tell him to get back down. He gets down and I give him a thumbs up and he gives me a thumbs up back. I calm out. This is Analyst. I repeat, this is Analyst. Who's out there? Over. Analyst, this is Frog9er. I have some friendlies. We got permission to board. Over. Affirmative. Your landing's clear on starboard side. I got one friendly with me. Over. Copy. Landing clear on starboard side and one friendly. See you in a minute. Out. I started speaking to Eyes. They'll be here in about a minute. You're free to stay with me and help me cover the landing until they get here. You can chill in the hole. It's totally up to you. I trust you to not zap them all with the fear engine. Eyes responded, if you trust them, I trust them. I don't ever want that to be used again. If this technology was ever to fall in the wrong hands, just imagine how horrible it would be. I agreed. You're right. Let's hope that never happens. Chapter 23. The Following Weeks. Home, Stronghold, 8 months after the collapse, late summer. It's been a few weeks now, and I'm back in my concrete cabin back at the farm from another successful mission. The 100-footer burned and sank without incident. It didn't harm the Anastasia at all, which was good. Also, I'm pretty sure no animals were harmed, as it didn't appear to be a massive environmental calamity, so had there been anyone left to protest, it probably would have gone unnoticed, so there was that. Eyes ended up grabbing the pirate captain's sidearm and ended up choosing that as his sidearm to keep. He decided it would be the best way to honor all of his fallen brothers and sisters, since that was the pistol that had executed them all. Eyes promised me it wasn't him carrying his guilt. He carried it like a badge of honor instead. I asked him why he didn't carry the ex-pirate captain's rifle also. He said it was because that guy's rifle was crap. I wasn't going to argue. You don't choose your rifle chooses you. We ended up with several boats, engines, weapons, and magazines as scavenged loot. We didn't end up with a lot of extra ammunition because most of it ended up in the ocean or in bad guy bodies where all good ammo belonged. Some of the bodies ended up on boats though, or when people jumped, they left their rifles on the boats. Frog9er's team went around and rounded up everything, so it wasn't much of a loss as it could have been. It actually ended up being quite a haul. Eyes ended up opening the little area in front of the ship, and we moved the salvageable boats in the front of it for him to hold on to. The maritime goodies sit in the hold now next to the Annie. Annie being the name of the blue hydroplane in the Anastasia's hull. Eyes and two of the guys took boats north to meet up with another group we have up there where he'll donate the extra boats back into our fleet. They should be able to patch the holes, and they'll have 4 8-footers and 2 20-footers along with matching motors for all of them. There was one troubling thing. Eyes went to go decommission the prototype fear engine and got very concerned. Apparently when he powered on the ship, that turned back on the ship's communications. That's when the ship's communications activated and the ship started broadcasting a signal. The signal turned on the fear engine's communications. We took a look and it turned out all along that the prototype fear engine had been communicating to a server somewhere. You might be thinking, big deal, but here's the thing. So normally when we've been trying to send anything out, no electronic communications were getting really anywhere. Ever since California, California, then Washington and Oregon split off from the United States, nothing's really connected right anymore. But this actually connected somewhere. I pressed a diagnostic button to see what it would do, and the server was only a couple of IP address hops away. Maybe 6. I took a picture of it before it shut off. Seconds later, something hit a remote kill switch. from the other side, then Eyes unplugged the whole unit and chucked it into the ocean to become another relic of this horrible chapter of our lives. I can't help but thinking this system and this missing crew is tied to something a lot bigger. Back in my concrete mini-home on the farm, reflecting on the situation, I started to think about Eyes.